excellent. Jessica, I know
This is
we
the
can't
highlight of
see
my
you.
day.
Oh, well, thank you for that. We're excited you're here. Jessica, I know your video's off, but we can hear you if you unmute yourself, if you're available.
Hello, good evening.
Hey.
It's having such a bad connection. I'm sorry.
No problem.
We hear you well.
Audio is good.
Yeah.
Hey, Jordan, did you want me to, what did you want me to title this before I start sharing my screen?
Our series is Rules of Engagement.
Okay.
Are you talking about this specific episode?
Yeah, just for the group and stuff. Okay, cool.
I'll give you some freedom. You can do that.
All right. Well, just as a placeholder, we'll call it Rules of Engagement, and we'll say social.
Okay, that works.
I think we'll have a lot of fun with this topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think also to let everybody know, we are streaming at the same time on Facebook Live. So wave hi.
Yeah. Say hi to Thomas. Thomas is with us on.
Thomas is on.
Facebook.
Good. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Thomas. Okay, no problem. Hey, so what we're gonna do is during the end portion where we pray for people, we will not stream live and we will not record, just FYI.
Yes.
So that way people can feel total liberty as much as they want. But I am going to open in prayer real quick for us, and then we will rock and roll. So Lord, we just thank you for Jared and Jessica and Jordan, and thank you for Thomas online as well. And we just thank you that you care about our business, you care about our social media, you care about our careers, and you are watching over us. And there's a lot of things in the world that are crazy right now. And so you are our shelter in the storm, Lord, and we trust in you, and we ask you to bless this tonight. Let it be a very collaborative session. Let it be just filled with the Holy Spirit and with peace and with wisdom, and let everybody carry away 2 things that they can put into practice or that encourage and build them up in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Hey, Dennis.
Brian, how are you?
Good. I don't want to give it away because I'm tired of getting back to people if things fall through, but I might be heading to good news. So just stay tuned. We'll see if that is true. But yeah, so I thought I'd let you know because you check on me quite a bit. I wanted to, so Jordan and I have spent significant time this evening talking and planning and thinking about social media. And I know, Dennis, you've got some very cool techniques on this as well. So I would love to have you share at the appropriate time. But we wanted to talk about kind of 2 key areas of social media, which is, first of all, building your business and also brand. And I want to kind of to tell you guys that even if you aren't an entrepreneur directly, so you might want to say, well, not sure building a business is really what I want to do on social media, or it's not really relevant to me. I actually would argue that the brand part, at least, is really important to you. For example, I mean, I think I'll just give you, and I'm going to kick it over to Jordan in a second, but I want to give you guys some heads up that I've been on a job search for multiple months, for many months, due to COVID, and it was an unexpected thing, but I have been posting every day, sometimes more than one time a day, inspirational thoughts and practical business things, and to get my, honestly, partly because I like it, just to be honest. I just kind of like to do it. For me, it's just a publishing platform, and I like to write and all that kind of stuff and create content as a hobby kind of thing. But I also, in the back of my mind, I know I'm producing impressions about me, and I'm also getting the word out. I have had 2 or 3 CEOs of companies reach out to me because of my content directly. And one of them offered me a job on the first call that I had with him. And another one, I got very far into a process. That one didn't work out, but you get the point that if senior executives of companies can find you, because you've spent some time regularly working on your brand, then this is a very important topic to you. So anyway, so whether it's building your business on social, whether it's building your personal brand, which will open doors for you in the future for jobs and or ministry or for whatever, a lot of things, friendships. I mean, who knows? Like I have friendships now from online too, that I would say are quite close now due to social as well. So anyway, that's the topic for tonight. These are the 3 key bullet points that we'll probably use as a wireframe, but we're going to keep it a little more fluid than just literally these points, and share with everybody's experiences, what's working, what's not working, what do you use it for, what to watch out for, etc. So Jordan, I think I gave way too much of a long setup there, but how would you like to cover? What would you like to cover first on this?
I want to give a disclaimer that all this is basically, Howie's and my perspectives, and we're going to open it up for everybody to share their perspectives as well, and so that's fine. And again, we want to keep it to that, and that side conversations happen; they happen on the side, and not in the middle of a group or anything like that. And so we want to talk about, again, there is a last week on our off week, Howie and I talked about kind of the rules of engagement, and just kind of the passion behind that, which was going first to be in the engagement process and to be respectful. And we both feel like those are very important things to do. The business brand for me and personal brand are not, you can't separate them. So in my mind, and if anybody that I'm talking with, they go together. If you separate them, in my mind, it's a big failure, and it's an opportunity for a big blunder. So, which is why we're going to get into some of this stuff later. So, do you want to jump into point 1, Howie, or what do we want to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Get some feedback on just
that's
social
actually good.
general.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we go around the table? So Jess, you're new, but we usually go around the table pretty often. Instead of us just sharing, we'd rather have it be more of a group share. So as a new person, why don't you actually say who you are and what you do, and then maybe give us a comment on how you use social.
Yeah, so what I do now is I offer multi-services. I am mainly like a business consultant. I started back in 2019, slowly from home. And then last year I made the transition to open a retail space. But because of COVID-19, everything has drastically slowed down.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm here, to give better insights on things, how to do things differently and how to adapt to the new changes. And then I also have a full-time job. I am a small business advisor with Dallas College. So I do that on the side. So just a little bit background on me.
Very cool.
That's cool. And how do you use social media? I mean, and this is kind of like the 30-second canned response for how do you use social media for, your personal business, and what about through Dallas County Community College?
So I don't use social media as much as I would hope to use it. I'm slowly making that transition, especially when it comes to my business, just making sure that I am more involved, because we are like in an e-commerce environment where everything we do now is virtual. As far as using my social media on the personal side of things, I keep it very private, because I don't want to offend anybody in my platform. I am very neutral. So I keep it as neutral as possible. Don't choose sides.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that topic will come back up but that's great.
Yeah, I think it's important not to be offensive online. There are a lot of people who are willing to be offensive, and it's just not. It's just, I think because it's a little bit, it feels anonymous, people tend to go overboard. So I think that's smart that you're not, that you're very careful about that for sure. But that said, though, I would challenge you that, and maybe you're doing some of this already. I think you'll get a couple of ideas tonight. I'm praying that you will. for ways to use your expertise in new ways that actually could help your community and your followers and your clients and students, and also future new clients
Yeah.
by sharing some of your ideas.
Yeah, and if I can piggyback off of that, since you went there, sometimes critics online are a blessing because I know they're not in my tribe. That's how he likes to say. Yeah, it's a filter, and so it's a blessing. Thank you for letting me know that I mean I can block you if I want to go that far if you're that offensive. So, but I do hope the same thing, that through tonight that we're all empowered to be active socially in a little different ways. What about Jared? I know you're a big social guy. What about you, bud?
Yeah, so for the past 13 years, and I'm still doing it, I've been running paid media. So, PPC, Facebook, Google Ads, LinkedIn, all those PPC platforms. I hate the social media part. I actually hate the social media apps, and I have never gotten into engagement on social, and I know that it's a powerful tool that you can use. I've just never gotten into content marketing, and I'm an ads guy.
Yeah.
And in fact, we prayed last week about me learning how to use how to do marketing without those platforms.
Yeah.
And I got to say thanks for praying for me, because right away God has given me some very powerful solutions to that. So I'm super stoked. I've already got first client in that area, my goal in the future is the social that I do use is I want to use platforms that don't ban you for wrongthink for social, such as Gab, and I started to use Gab just recently, and I got a couple of sales meetings out of it already.
Good.
just by making a few posts, and nothing, not anything scheduled out or done well. So I'm interested to hear this tonight, because
this fits.
or at least that maybe you guys can point me to who does this, since I hate doing it. Maybe I can hire someone to help me do it, because I do think it's effective. I think there are ways to do it. I don't know anything about it, and I kind of don't like it. So it's kind of a bothersome type for an ads person. It's kind of a bothersome type thing, that kind of content and putting stuff online and all that.
Well, maybe through tonight's content, hopefully we can open the door a little bit to test the waters. And so, what about Dennis? What about you, my man?
I'm not sure why Brian told everybody that I'm kind of active on social platforms, because I'm really not. So out of all social platforms,
you kind of gave me an idea during the job search about visiting profiles and resetting algorithms, which I thought was a cool hack.
Oh, well, yeah. So, but that basically comes from my kind of natural strength that wherever you are, very carefully learn the rules. So LinkedIn has kind of some algorithm and some rules behind them. And once you learn the rules, you can just start using them to your advantage. So it's not because I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn, but because at some point of time, I really spent time understanding what exactly the mindset of LinkedIn developers were. So how they likely develop this particular tool. And once you sort of know the backside of all this tool, you can figure out what to do on the front side to get the biggest kind of the biggest impact of your actions. So yeah, I think you can say it this way.
Yeah, that's valuable, Dennis.
Yeah, that's super valuable. So what Dennis told me is that during my job search, that one of his hacks was, if you can just go view a bunch of recruiters, then it kind of puts you a little bit, it gives you more of a favorable chance, I guess, of them seeing your profile, but that it's a delayed effect. So, I mean, yeah, that's a super, I mean, I know you don't think that's a big deal. For me, that was a big insight.
Yes, I think we will get back to specifics, but in essence, at the end of the day, if on the LinkedIn, what you are doing depends on people finding you, and in my particular positions, most positions are not published. So most positions in a job search would be somebody finding you and kind of like engaging with you. As opposed to you reaching to 100 people. So like you reaching to 100 people will probably give you less result, even though it's going to consume substantially more time than 5 people finding you. But in a way, LinkedIn algorithm works is that the probability of finding you actually depends on your activity. And it turns out that LinkedIn doesn't really differentiate that much as whether this is kind of a meaningful activity in the sense that you're doing something kind of deep and thoughtful, or it's just really generating traffic. And an easy way to generate traffic is to just go and visit 2,000 profiles. So just go and click. Like you click, you visit profile, in a second you close it, you visit another profile, in a second you close it. And what happens is that after you visit 2,000 profiles, on average, in my experience, 5% of these people who you visited profiles for, they out of curiosity, they will visit your profile back. And all of a sudden, LinkedIn thinks you are popular. There is something right with you. And once LinkedIn thinks there is something right with you, you basically start showing up on the first page of the search results for those people who reach out to you. So again, this is kind of maybe unique to my particular job search, but in my particular job search, I needed to make LinkedIn think that I am important and I'm doing something right with absolutely the minimum effort. And I figured out a way to do it actually. If on the LinkedIn think that I am important and I'm
We're
doing
hearing a
something
double
right,
screen somehow, double audio from, is that from Beastmode or who that?
I think it's from me.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, that's super valuable all by itself. So if you couple that with, so if you do some of these approaches that generates traffic for LinkedIn and generates that cross-connective activity where people are clicking on each other and all that good activity, then LinkedIn rewards you, I guess, by, giving you favorable position in people's feeds. Now, if you couple that with good content, I think that's an incredible combination.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted to kind of add that once you invest into this particular activity every single day, as if it was your job, for about a couple of weeks, it actually becomes a self-reinforcing loop. So first you visit 2,000 pages every day, 100 of these people come back to you. So it continues for 2 weeks. LinkedIn thinks that you're doing something right. You get on the first page of other people's searches, and then they start visiting your page. And that reinforces LinkedIn thinking that you do something right. And then you are just basically, without doing much, you stay on the first page of people's searches, even kind of couple of months after you stop doing this activity. So I felt this in the particular instance that I was looking for a job, and I was doing that as if it was like my job. I spent 4 or 5 hours every day just doing nothing else. And after I find the job, for the next kind of a month and a half, I was still getting inquiries. So it's a flywheel. So once you give some inertia to that, actually LinkedIn algorithm, they start thinking that there is something right with you. And by sending this activity to you, LinkedIn thinks that there is even something more right to you. And it just reinforces itself.
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
Brian, instead of doing that if you don't want to do that for 4 or 5 hours a day, you can pay for some automated software. I've used that before that allow you to just view people's profiles.
Okay. So LinkedIn employs very smart people, and they detect it. I don't know how, but they do. I mean, you can automate you can automate some of that, but just leaving your computer on for 5 hours try that. It's not as efficient. I mean, it's better than doing nothing, right? So if you have a chance to just plug the switch and leave it work overnight, you're gonna get some impact. But compared to actually investing 4 hours of your human time, that's not comparable.
You have to, if you use a plugin, that would be where the problem comes in. You have to use a software that has the API, and then make it, if you do that too much, then they'll be able to detect what's going on. So I actually have some clients that do some organic outreach with LinkedIn, and the software, we use the software, and so it has to be API software, so it can't be like DuckDuckSoup or one of those. And it should be basically the same as long as you don't go overboard with it.
Yeah.
Then you have more experience than I do.
Yeah. I would add one more thing, and it goes right into my nature and what we're going to talk about. If I'm going to view 2,000 profiles, I'm going to like 2,000 items. I'm going to like something on their page. I'm not just going to be a consumer of their page. I'm going to like something on there. So
let's talk about that. So why don't you take the floor and talk a little bit about that engagement? Because if you're going to go, even if it's not 2,000, if you can look at, take an hour, and just look at 200, that's still a lot. It's more than anybody else does. So when you say liking and commenting, what are you doing with that, and how does that help?
It's just like what Dennis was talking about. That's part of the algorithms that the systems enjoy, which again, that's on the technical side. And it's part of what we're talking about is that you're doing it on purpose. And so while Dennis and for myself, yes, I do like and comment because I know that the algorithm likes it. I do it because I want to do it. And I do it because I want to be authentic about it. And so I want to like and comment on other people's posts, and I want to do it authentically, so that it has a genuine result. And the genuine result is engagement. I want them to like and comment on my stuff, and I want them to do it authentically. And so that's really where point number one we're going to come into. We want to be, so the liking and commenting, that really ties back into last week about going first. That a lot of us, we want engagement. We want to post something, we want it to go viral, we want those things. But if you're not going first in the engagement process, then I think you're missing the mark. And then whenever we're posting on social media, Jessica, you talked about it earlier that, we may be a little afraid of critics, or we may wonder how other people are going to take it. But when we're posting content, we want to post with purpose. My purpose is to share a message. My purpose is to share a thought, or to share a weakness, or to be vulnerable. Some of these things we're going to talk about later. And so if people disagree, that's okay, because I still am true to myself and why I posted it. And so if one person likes it, fantastic. If 50,000 people like Howie's post the other day, then fantastic. But I'm staying true to myself in the posting.
It's good. Yeah. So posting on purpose and not for a result is what you're talking about there with that first bullet point. And yeah, I do post because it's kind of a hobby, and it's because what I want to do, but it's turned out to be it's helped me in my job search. But some things don't work, but on the other hand, define what really works. Am I going for to be famous, or am I going to build a brand and to add value to people? You know what I mean? Because here, actually, I haven't told anybody this. I had somebody, so I haven't had a job for several months. I'll just tell you, it was 8 months. I haven't had a job for 8 months. I've been searching, I don't know how many hundreds of interviews I've had. I had someone, and I haven't told you this yet, Jordan. Someone last week sent me $1,000, a check for $1,000. Is unbelievable. It's someone that I really don't know very well, and I'm not very much in touch, but they said that I had been interacting with them in LinkedIn messaging, and they said that my posts were good and inspired them or something. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to do anything to reach this individual. I was just trying to help the community, and they saw that I had a need, and they sent me and my family $1,000. Is unbelievable experience. So you don't know what you're doing, but the little post that ministered to this individual that only got 2 likes, but for them it pulled them out of the darkness. You know what I mean? Or versus something that had 50,000 views. Because every now and then you'll have a post go berserk and you don't know why, but it just goes crazy. But it's incredible how you can really, develop relationships and really help people out and how it can touch them. And I haven't shared that story before, but not only have I had jobs, but I actually had that gift, which helped me in my financial need. And nobody else sent me money. We're fine. I did not ask for that. I was shocked by that because my family and I are fine. My wife works. We're okay. Do not get inspired from what I just said. All I'm saying is you don't know. You can't judge the effort of what you're posting. If you're posting authentically, you're posting from good motives. Even if you're building your brand, but you're still coming from a place of good motives, you have no idea how you're impacting people. It's so cool. Isn't that a cool outcome? I mean, it's shocking.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Jordan, could I ask you? It sounds like you do a lot of this. How much time per day do you spend on social and posting and engagement yourself?
Well, I automate it. So I have a team that does a lot of this on the back end through the strategies that I believe that God has given me, but we do it with other people as well. So part of what I'm going to answer part of that question here in a minute on bullet 2 and 3. So I don't want to jump ahead, but I will answer it. I promise.
So posting on purpose, not for result. And then what happens is you end up getting some results as well. Now I want to kind of talk about, Jordan and I wrote down a few ideas of things, examples of things that you can post. And both of these can be for your business or from a personal. So Jessica may want to post some things in the name of her business. She may prefer to post things sometimes in the name of herself. But either way, these are some ideas that will work for either. So I'll take the first one just because in our prep, that's how it flowed. But one of the things that I like to do, and so what I want to do, I definitely want to go around the table for sure on this bullet point and be thinking, what are some of the things that you've posted before or that you like to see posted? And we'll create a little laundry list, and I'll make sure I'll put in the chat all these notes. So you'll have some ideas that you can take away for ideas that you can post to help your business or to help your personal brand or both. Or as Jordan says, they really are the same thing. So the first thing that I do a lot is I post stories and examples. So I posted one a couple days ago. Again, it doesn't have very many views, doesn't have very many likes at all, but it's one of my better videos, and it talks about 2 different business development strategies that I've actually done that generated business for me at a certain company that I work for. And that happens to have been a video. I feel very awkward when I'm recording videos. I don't like to do them. I don't have great lighting in here. My glasses have a mirror effect that is very hard to combat, and I haven't been able to fix that yet. And I feel like an idiot on video. So I'll just tell you, there's barriers that you're going to have to overcome if you're going to post online, and you're going to have to be willing to feel like you look stupid. And by the way, probably other people don't think you look stupid, right? And if they do, then they're probably not your tribe, to be honest, just to be authentic. But I like to post stories and examples of ideas, business ideas that have worked, strategies that have worked, sometimes things that didn't work, but people can learn from it. So that's kind of my first thing I wanted to cover. And then Jordan, you wanted to talk about something else.
Yeah, do you want to run the stories and examples around, or do you want to go through all 3?
No, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's hit the ones that you and I prepped first, and then let's have them gap what we didn't think of.
Cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest things that I enjoy doing is posting out of vulnerability, and a couple examples would be posting a failure. I've tried to do this in a deal and it didn't work, and I just want to share that. And part of it is I want to share it just to give other people the freedom to be able to share their failures. I want to give people the ability to get bought in, to understand, hey, you know, I made a similar mistake, and then maybe I don't, you know, it gives you the freedom to not feel a certain way. You know, especially as Jessica, you're much more emotionally advanced than all the rest of us men on this call tonight. And so as men, a lot of times we do dumb stuff and we think we're the only one who does dumb stuff. But if we're able to post that, then again, it creates that engagement and it creates that opportunity for somebody to say, okay, somebody else has been there too. And sometimes it is on the podcast, you know, I shared about how part of the reason why I moved into being a small business operator is because I didn't like having to sell to clients or customers who I knew were not a good fit, but I needed to hit a quota. And you know, I had the pressure on the back end to make a sale, but I knew that the customer was ultimately going to be unhappy on the end. But I knew that I could do the sale because I was good at what I did. And sharing stories like that and giving people the freedom to understand that that's an okay feeling to have. And there's a better way to do it than what I did, which was obviously making the sale. There's a better way to do it, and to let the individual know, you know, you're not a good fit at all, or maybe you're not a good fit right now. So
It's good. And you kind of unpacked it when we were talking earlier, and you said something about by you sharing, it does something for those people that read or that see that.
yeah, it honestly it has the ability to create trust and to create more buy-in. So if I tell somebody, and I'm authentic about it, I'm not just doing it just to do it, but you know, I'm reading the lines, and I can tell, you know, this may not work at the moment because this client's not ready. Maybe they don't have the financials to be ready, or maybe their foundation's not strong enough, or maybe they haven't fully committed in other departments to where it's not going to work on the back, whatever it is. But to share that up front and to say, we're going to circle back in 3 months. Oftentimes what happens is you're going to create more buy-in to where they will come back in 3 months and they will be ready, or they'll say, I want to be ready right now, and so help get me there. And so you actually increase their budget and what they're willing to share with you. And so
It's good.
So.
The next one, and then after this, we're going to roundtable because we want to hear what you guys think about posting. What are some ideas that you can leverage to post online? One of the things that I did though, which did go really well last a couple weeks ago. I don't remember when. You can go check this out if you want on my profile. But there's an Inc. article. You'll notice that I reshared. I basically was on Inc.'s website, Inc.com website, and I saw something about a topic where if you feel like if you're uncertain in decision making, and if you feel stupid sometimes, it actually could be a sign of the opposite. It could actually be a sign that you're smart because you have enough insight to know what you don't know. It's actually a weird effect. And people who aren't smart actually are the most sure of themselves. It's the weirdest thing. And apparently there's all this science behind it. And because that spoke to me, because I feel that way a lot of times. And I was like, wow, that's encouraging. So maybe I'm not stupid. Maybe I'm just naturally questioning things. And because of that, I have some level of, intellect or whatever. I'm not as stupid as I thought. And so I basically did a little write-up on a few thoughts around that because it spoke to me. And I thought it would help people in my LinkedIn. And all I did is forward that and add 4 or 5 sentences and some hashtags. And as of right now, that has close to 53,000 views. It's one of my top posts ever. I have not had a lot of viral posts, and it's not a thing with me. I don't. And I have a small LinkedIn audience too, compared to, almost, anybody out there. So it's just a weird thing, and I wasn't going for that. I just thought it was cool. Going back to what Jordan said about posting on purpose, not just for a result, right? It's fun to have something like that happen. You kind of a once in a lifetime kind of a situation, or maybe it'll happen, every every year. Maybe you'll have one go really nuts. That's awesome. And that's fun. But posting articles is something that I didn't have to do all that research, right? For that, I didn't do the science on that. All I did is digest it, take it personally, and have the thought, why don't I share this? And then I'll write up a few comments on it. And it got reshared like 25 times. I don't know how many. I have to go look at it. I don't want to make it up. It got reshared way over 20 times. I think close to 25, 29 times. And it was viewed that many times, blah, 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 whatever. It's not my credit. I didn't write the article. And yet I got to have that brand building, and I got to have that, the fun, frankly, because that was fun. Anybody who says having a post go viral isn't fun is just not being honest. It is fun. But we don't go for that. We go for the value. And then a lot of stuff was going to have 3 likes, and that's okay. But it was fun. So anyway, be thinking when you're reading, if you're reading Entrepreneur, or you're reading. So Jessica, you may be reading something on the Small Business Administration newsletter, and it's like, wow, that is such a great article. That would really help my clients. Why not post that? And of course, you give credit. You need to, provide a link and give credit and do those wonderful things. But yeah, why not, post an article that somebody else wrote? Why do I think because it's my social, why do I think I have to be the inventor of it? I could just be a content curator. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this. Being a content curator is another form of being of building your social as well. So anyway, that's the last one that Jordan and I prepared, is posting articles. But now I'd like to kind of go around the room if we can, and you guys don't have to share, but we'd like to know, what kind of articles do you like to post, or do you think would be useful to the community, but also to your business building efforts?
Yeah.
Who'd like to go first?
Let's start with Paul, because we didn't hear from Paul earlier.
I actually had something, but it's on the second point of posting out of vulnerability.
Okay.
I can relate to this because I'm a true believer that when you show people some sort of vulnerability, or that you've been through something, and you show that you're just another human being happening, it just happened to have the same experience as other, you're actually getting to even their heart, and therefore you can make a bigger impact in what you're trying to post or convey in a communication. I think it's very, very powerful. Like, for instance, if that works even in one-on-ones, or like in speeches that you do to people, where you're not transmitting some wisdom, but you're also transmitting some kind of experience that will, put you at the same level, and the other people will say, hey, yeah, he's just another human being like I am. And how powerful. And when you mentioned the buy-in, it's totally true. I mean, I truly believe that you get more buy-in when you do that out of vulnerability.
That's great. That's awesome. I am usually too fearful to do that. But I think it's very powerful. And I will say that there's been a few times that I've been vulnerable, and it did seem to touch hearts. You're right.
And it may, you can, I mean, you don't have to share something that is like, it may be, but what I'm saying is,
there's a difference between vulnerable
yes,
and personal.
Exactly.
There's a big difference.
And when you say, it's like, for instance, hey, you know what, I happen to have this experience in the past, and I failed miserably because I took this decision that I thought it was good, but through with some experience, now I know that this option is better. Something like that. It is like it sets you up for success, or for people to listen, because you're sharing a personal experience. You say that, yeah, I used to do this way, but I learned probably the hard way, or not the hard, or not the hard way, but and that has, you know, taught me a lesson that I know this works.
It's great. It's awesome.
And real quick, for those of you watching on Facebook, we do see your chat, so you can just drop comments in there, and we'll be able to go back and forth with you, or even bring it up right here.
Absolutely.
So whoever wants to go next.
I can go next. Well, I would have to provide some kind of indirect experience, because I have never posted articles. But even though I've never posted articles, I have some evidence that what like really catches people's attention, what gets them excited from a lot of interviews, where you obviously have to provide kind of bits and pieces. And specifically, I had to provide example of how a particular manufacturing problem can be solved. And the problem is to do something with obsolete inventory. So for those who don't know, obsolete inventory is kind of just an inventory that sits out there for an extended period of time. Clients don't take it. It's doing nothing. It's just collecting dust, and out of this huge pile of stuff, you have to either keep it moving, so you have to sell it, maybe at a discount, or you have to at least learn from what happens. And I solved this particular problem twice. Once it was a chemical plant, and another times it was a plastic bags company. And so on their chemical plant, I actually took like a very systematical approach, and we built a white paper, and we discussed a specific 7-step process, how these things has to be analyzed, what steps have to be taken, who have to take these steps, how the decisions are being made. I was really proud of it. I mean, this particular process, once implemented, it saved company like over $1 million. So it actually worked. It was a very good kind of showcase of different analytical abilities, but surprisingly, that doesn't really catch attention. What does catch attention is the kind of same problem. So we have a huge pile of this obsolete inventory sitting at the plant that produces plastic bags. And one of the clients for this particular plant is Chick-fil-A. So, and the Chick-fil-A, they have their Chick-fil-A Bowls, which is an annual event. And the background for the story is that this is 2014, and I go to the warehouse, and there is kind of a huge pallet of plastic bags that say Chick-fil-A Bowl 2012. So it's definitely just crap. I mean, this has to be thrown away. So nobody needs 2012 bags in 2014. So we have to kind of figure out what's going on. I'll try to be concise, but the whole idea is that like we just all go all the way back to the production chain, and we'll figure out that the process went like this. Chick-fil-A says, I need 1,000 cases of this particular bag. We say, great. In order to get 1,000 cases of this particular bag, we have to produce 1 million feet of film. Then it goes to the next department. Then like 10% of this is going to get scrapped. 900,000 feet will be processed, and then it goes into the next department. And at the end of the day, we get exactly this 1,000 cases of bags to ship to ParkShare. So the order goes to the first department, and they start producing it. So time is at 3 p.m. They start producing it. By 5:40 p.m., they produce this 1 million feet of film. And the guy who is responsible for this particular machine just like watches his clock and says, my shift ends in 30 minutes. I'm really not in the mood to change over this machine, so I'll just like let it overrun. So the guy leaves the machine running. Instead of 1 million feet, it produces like 1.4 million feet. So it produces substantially more than it should. Now all this film goes on to the next department, and the guy looks at his job order and he says, well, I should have received 1 million feet of film, but I received like 1.4. And now he has to make like a very fundamental decision, whether to raise his hand and say, look, like there is something wrong in here, or just to let it go through. And so his thinking goes, well, so the people in front of me, the people in the first department, they're smart people. If they overrun this order, they definitely knew what they were doing. So who I am to raise my hand, I'll just go ahead and print this 1.4 million feet of film. So he prints it, it gets to the third department. In the third department, there is another guy who says, well, I should have gotten like that much film, but I got substantially more. Why is that? He has all the opportunities to raise his hand. He knows that something goes right. But he says, well, those two people before me, they were really smart people. Why would I bother to do that? And then it goes to the warehouse and the same thing happens. The warehouse says Chick-fil-A needs 1,000 cases of film. We have 1,200. So let's just go ahead and ship 1,000 and 200 just goes to the shelf. So nobody raises a hand. And once you tell this story to people, kind of, this is just one particular isolated example, but everybody knows like, oh yeah, I've been on the manufacturing plants. This is exactly what happens. This is kind of the behavior that I observe. I can very much relate to that. So instead of now going into this systematical 7-step approach to methodologically reduce this obsolete inventory, people started relating to this story. It's like, yeah, of course, we worked for these people. We know this problem. This is like something we have seen like so many times. And basically you have two kind of approaches. One shows all your analytical abilities, which saved $1 million. So we know it's working. We know it's not just a paper. And another one is just looking at what happened with this particular batch of Chick-fil-A bags, which was worth less than $10,000. So it was not that impactful. But people, by being kind of emotionally involved in this story and say, yeah, of course we've seen that. Of course it happens. It's like so great that you guys got to the root cause of this and you were able to fix it. Then actually the second example provides a substantially more connection with the audience than the first one. Even though, as I mentioned, that the first one works and it actually saves substantially more money than the second one.
So I think the reason you that was really good, by the way. That was really, really good. And that story was engaging, by the way. So I also for sure resonated with that. So are you basically teaching us that in the posting itself, when you're thinking about what to write, in the post, that if you do it one way, you might be more detailed, but you might lose them. And if you do it the other way, which is more of a story, you might really just, even if the impact is a little smaller, it might have a larger audience resonation.
It does. It does. And you specifically should pick a story which is very typical. So some story that other people have seen in different flavors. So this particular story with kind of overrunning the job orders because, well, my shift is about to end, it's very typical for production plants. And you have a lot of people who can relate to manufacturing. So now you kind of go back and instead of picking the most impactful stories, the stories that save company the most money, you can pick the stories that would relate to the audience, that audience will say, yeah, of course, we've seen it like for 20 years. It's like very familiar.
Wow. That's awesome. Wonderful. Well, that is very good. I put that under this one, posting your story as an example.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really keen, you know what, I'm actually going to put it, you guys are going to all get this in the chat here in a second or in a few minutes, but I'll just remind them, Chick-fil-A story of overrun of bags. Yeah, good. Love it. Thank you. That's awesome. Who else can give us an idea of something that you can post on social media to help with business or job hunt or brand building, opportunity development, anything that's intentional? What are some other content types?
Jared looks like he's itching. So go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, the one thing I have done that I posted that you guys haven't mentioned are client testimonials. It just video testimonials. Those are so powerful. They really make you look good And for Brian, you know, for someone looking for a job, if you can go back to the people you work with and get them to, and it doesn't have to be anything that it's best to get on Zoom and talk back and forth. But if you can just get someone to point their phone at their face and talk about you, that works too. So,
Brilliant idea.
you know, you never want to, I mean, when you online, that's the thing about online is the trust factor. And so if I go on somebody's page and I see 20 video testimonials for their service, immediately my trust for that person has gone way up. And that's the issue online with purchasing or doing a sales meeting, and I'm assuming also for hiring someone for a job is the trust factor. And so doing that
cool.
just,
I love that
yeah,
idea.
so,
I have a friend
that's
right
the
now.
one thing that I do. And whenever I do it, I get a ton of views. You know, I don't
Mhm.
know if it ever led to business, but people, they lap that up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So,
I have a friend, one of my LinkedIn friends, Swathi, has been looking for a job. I think she's like a coder, developer kind of person, really neat person. And I'm going to direct message her that idea tonight or tomorrow. Probably not tonight, I'm exhausted. But tomorrow I'm going to send that to her because I think that is a keen thing. She probably would have, she's such a good person. I think she would easily have a couple people, like you said, just hold their phone up and do a quick video and post it, and then they can tag her, and then she can reshare it. I mean, that's not a lot of work, and there's probably 2 or 3 bosses or peers that saw her work and saw her personality who would be happy to help her. So thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah. Brian, for sake of time, why don't we jump into kind of our
point two?
final,
Okay.
yeah, kind of the point 2 and point 3 go together. I think we can cover them at the same time.
Cool.
And then we can kind of roundtable those and get into a time of prayer for everybody, live and online. But you know, point 2 is to build a content plan. And before you put a wall up and think this is too much work, or put a wall up and say, no, I'm not doing that, I want to be spontaneous, you know, let's have the entire conversation. And so for me, point 2 and point 3 go together. You should build a content plan. And my suggestion for everyone who doesn't have one is to start small. So pick one day a week and deliver content that you've thought about in advance. So start with a 1 month. So start with the month of February. And let's say we're going to start with Tuesday. And Jared is going to start delivering every Tuesday a social media tip Tuesday or a paid ad tip Tuesday. Something that he's strong about, he feels strongly about, he's got knowledge, he's got insight, and it's strictly about that. But I'm going to pick the 4 Tuesdays in February, and I'm going to think about it in advance. And maybe I write the content in advance. I put it in a note or I put it in a Word document. Or just like Jared was kind of saying, I do 4 Zoom videos, less than a minute, and I talk about this content in advance and I deliver it on those strategic days. But then it actually frees me to be more spontaneous in those other days because I've already allocated the content in advance, right? And so again, you do that for the month of February, then maybe March, you decide to do a tip Tuesday. You may decide to do a, you know, what do we say, a wake up Wednesday or something else. You know, maybe you add another day or something else. And some of the things that I do that kind of ties in, then I'll pass over to you, Howie, is I do my scheduled post, but then I'm spontaneous whenever I see the scheduled post. So again, business and personal go together. So I'll schedule my business content 90 days or more in advance. Okay. But now when I see that content that I thought of and I was creative about 90 days ago, I have a new thought, or maybe my thought has expanded. So I grab this post that I scheduled and planned and I put into action 90 days ago. And now I add a spontaneous thought on top of it. And now I just expanded it. So, Howie.
It's good. Yeah. So Paul, you know, is creating this amazing recipe, and
yes,
he, you know, he made these cookies and he had somebody, you know, provide their little toppings, their favorite toppings, or whatever it may be, you know. And so he he does a topping Tuesday. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for us to, whether it be for a business or a personal, and really it's so related as Jordan always says. But you know, having that content plan is great. And I'm terrible at that. I don't do a content plan. I do spontaneous only. And what I get out of that is because I do mine spontaneously, there's a tremendous energy because it's from whatever's bubbling up in my heart or in my mind. It's fresh, it's not scheduled, it's spontaneous. So there's a little energy I get with that. But I think that I need to be diverse and do both and do a
Yes.
content plan with intentionality and with purpose instead of only doing the spontaneous style.
Yeah. Because
So yeah,
yeah, because
live and learn.
just like we've talked about, you can have a really creative day or weekend or month or season, and if you're fire hosing that content at people, it's hard to digest it. And we want to be a good steward of that content. And so if you're getting 90 days worth of content in one day, I should steward that well over 90 days. And it'll free me in the next 90 days to continue that creativity. And it, again, just like I said, it frees you to be spontaneous on that scheduled content.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
to
it's
answer,
been helpful.
yeah, but to answer Jared's question, so that's how I don't spend all day on social media. Otherwise, I could, and so that's how I deviate from that. It's by scheduling it, and then I give myself the freedom to be spontaneous throughout the day.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, what else is working for people? Maybe we can give, generally we want to wrap up, you know, not terribly long from now. But we want to make sure we do ministry. So we want to allow a nice chunk for ministry. But what else would you guys like to share that has worked for you on social or that you've seen that does work?
Is it okay if I ask Jordan some questions about that first?
Yeah, if it's going to be really going down and drilling for oil on business development, it should probably be a separate call. But if it's quick and it helps the group,
that's okay.
yeah,
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll find him on social and ask him
do
later.
that. Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jared, after the group's over, just stay on, and we'll either
sounds
chat
good.
now or schedule it later.
Cool. That'd be great.
And that goes
All right, cool.
and that's open to everybody here and everybody watching later.
Cool.
We can do that.
Very cool. Nice. That's generous. Yeah. So I think you know, all I wanted to add is that, you know, a couple more things from what types of things you can post are. I really appreciate when people post humor. You know, random humor is okay. Vertical humor is a little bit better. Like if Jessica is talking to small business owners and she posts about ducks and it's a funny duck joke, that's okay. And that, you know, that might be okay if it's funny. But if it's about small business and it's a meme about the struggles of funding or the struggles of this, and it's relatable to her audience, that might be a little bit better. It might be both funny but also kind of on message, if that makes sense. So humor is something I would encourage you guys to use as well. Also, if you guys have looked at my stuff lately, you're noticing that even some of my regular text posts, I'm starting to add graphics. The one from today has an alligator eating someone's picnic, which is hysterical, but it really happened. I think it really happened. I mean, the picture that I stole it from online, I think it actually happened. But I put that in an article about bad behavior on LinkedIn. And it's so great because here is an alligator invading a picnic and eating someone's hamburgers off of a tray. And there's a Diet Pepsi right there. It's hilarious. But it's part of, so I think going and searching Google Images, I'll give you guys a little tip here. And this isn't related to jokes. This is just about any of your posts. But you can go search images.google.com and Bing has the same thing. And you can search for, you know, whatever, some kind of an image, and then you'll find funny stuff or you'll find neat stuff. I did a post today where I was guilty of doing the 90-day thing that Jordan is talking about, which is that I had a lot of ideas in one day and I just posted them all per my normal spontaneous only approach. So you'll see that I posted a picture of a dog chasing a rhinoceros, a little dog. And it was a really heartfelt post, actually. It was saluting a friend of mine who's been an encouragement to me. But I got that image off the web. And so, but you'll notice that there's so much more punch on those not in terms of likes. I don't mean that. I mean in terms of relatability, because it's an image that's maybe makes you smile or it relates nice to the text. So take the time, not every time, but sometimes take the time and add a picture.
You add.
What's that?
It's a value add.
Yeah. It's maybe 2.5 minutes more work to find an image and cut it, save it to your desktop and post it. 3 minutes maybe. And I think it's worth it. So that's another idea. So jokes and adding images to your posts. I don't really have enough. I guess the only other one that I will say that I do and that I see are inspirational things. So instead of being so Jessica, we've been talking about adding business value, right? And that's great. But sometimes you want to just post something encouraging, something human. And that goes back to a little bit about what Paul said earlier about being vulnerable and what Jordan said about being vulnerable. If you can post something encouraging, even if it's not vulnerable, it's just straight up inspiration. I think that's really wonderful as well. So taking the time to be human from your brand and saying something that encourages people is also good. So anyway, I don't have any more to share, but I'm more than willing to have Jordan or anybody else jump in with what are some other kinds of posts. What do you think about content plan or anything else?
I think Jessica's got something she's going to share real quick.
Oh, cool.
Go ahead.
Rock on.
To me, I think it's important to share like resources, especially in my space. There's a lot of questions out there and clients need answers. So just posting those resources would open the doors for conversations.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes back to what we talk about all the time is insights. I mean, and those insights are so valuable. When you can just share free content, free insights, I mean, it's such a value to people to know, hey, I can come to your page or I can come to your platform, whatever you're on, and I can get quality insights that are going to help me to do what I want to do without having to schedule a 30-minute consultation, without having to PM you. You're just going to give it to me in a nice, cut and dry, clear way. It's such a great job, Jessica.
It brings value and credibility. So.
It does. Very true.
Right.
And if you can do that, and this is kind of the final thought on the schedule. So if you can do that every Tuesday, then what happens is now people come every Tuesday because they know on Tuesday you're going to have value. And so I may not look at your stuff the rest of the week, and that's okay. But every Tuesday I'm going to come look because Jared dropped quality content or Jessica dropped quality content on Tuesday at this time, And so it's huge.
Love it. Good stuff. So we expect to see Resources Tuesday with Jessica coming soon.
Yes.
Of course.
And by the way, thank you. I will literally go read you. In fact, I need to follow you. Make sure we all follow each other here.
Yeah.
If you guys want to take a screenshot of the participants list, you can make sure to go follow each other on social. And we can support each other that way. But I would actually go if you. So it's interesting. I never thought about this before, Jordan. But the value of having your schedule means that you can share your schedule to anybody. Like you can just say, by the way, every Tuesday morning I have new business insights on small business from my perspective from working with clients. And I would go seek Jessica out if I really knew she was going to post every Tuesday morning. Every morning I would check that out every Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Well, how about every Thursday you say that every Tuesday I have new content coming out.
Right.
So now you have two scheduled
reminder
things.
Yeah.
And so again,
that's smart. That's great. Interesting. I never thought about it. Let's add that to the notes, guys. Let's put it to you this way. One of the values, let's say it this way, of having a schedule is you can communicate this to followers, prospects. Let me move my participants panel, or I'll close it actually. followers, prospects, customers, etc. And the better your content is and the more consistent, you can build up a following. You know, it's almost like the modern newsletter, right? People used to subscribe to newsletters, and I know people still have newsletter strategies. Don't get me wrong. I know marketers will throw stones on this. People do have newsletter strategies. My last company, he probably had 20,000 people on the newsletter. So I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is a nice digital way, a little bit more of an organic way of having a newsletter by having a content Thursday or whatever. So cool.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, guys.
Who remembers what TGIF is? Does anybody remember?
Yep.
Okay.
Great wings.
And so, no, not the restaurant.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but we know that every Friday we knew that, you know, and so it's the same thing. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think we're gonna. Do you want to move into? You have anything else to cover?
no, I think we're good. I think let's give enough time to cover.
Awesome.
Yeah. So everybody online, we're going to discontinue that. But if you have something, you can always send it in to us, and we'll pray in agreement with you guys. So.
100%.